Hello, hello everyone. Hello students. I hope you guys are doing great. And today we are here to talk about a very interesting topic. Today we are going to talk about Indian federalism, right? Indian federalism. Now this is a very interesting topic and a very crucial topic of your 10th exams also. So, welcome. I welcome you all. And I'm so excited to begin with this lecture. But before we begin, I would want to have a basic idea about who I am. So, I will briefly introduce myself to you, students. I am Akansha Sharma, your educator. I have done my master's, MPhil, and even PhD from Jawaharlal Nehru University. I had did my graduation from Lady Shri Ram College, Delhi University, and I have taught at various college and university level students. I have mentored more than 10,000 of students. Okay, so I have college students. I taught K-12 section. I also taught UPSC students. So this is a lot of students that I have mentored, and today I'm here to talk with you about the ideals or the basic concept of federalism in India. Okay, so I welcome you all of you to this lecture. I hope this is really interesting and you learn a lot with this lecture on federalism. So let's get started and let's get on with it. But before that, I have something for you. So we are going to talk. I will draw an outline of what are the things that we are going to talk about. Okay, good evening to all the students who are joining in. A very good evening to all of you. So we are going to talk about the federalism, the various type of federations we have, difference between unitary and federal system, and what is the importance of federalism. We will also talk about certain features of federalism and what kind of federalism is in India. So basic idea about this topic of federalism will be given to you in this lecture. Before we actually start with it, student, just a little thing for you. Now you know we have this platform of Unacademy where you can watch the live lectures, you can have daily quizzes and things like that. You can get your doubts solved, have practice questions, test series, so on and so forth. But if you want to use all of this and become a part of the platform, what you have to do? It's very simple. You have to subscribe to Unacademy because here you are getting amazing offers. So if you take a subscription of class 9, you can get it free for class 10, 11 and 12 also, bacha. So it's very clearly shown here that for first month you'll be getting it for 2500, and if you go for a longer month duration, let's say for 48 months, you are getting it at a very minimum prices. Per month prices is just 833 rupees. It's very sasta for that matter. And you can use the code, which is my code. You can use AKS11 to get an additional discount of 10%, student. Additional discount of 10%. Okay, so I think this makes it really easy and clear that what we are looking for. You If you want to get associated with us, nothing better. Whenever you want to pay, you just have to download the app. Okay, go to the K-12 section in the Play Store, select the subscription that you want, click on get subscription, use my code AKS11 to get additional 10% discount when you are paying the money. I hope this resolves and solves your queries related how to get the subscription. Now students, let's get started with the lecture. Now students, all the time when we hear this term, what is federalism, whenever we hear about it, what is federalism, the first thing comes is there is so much that we are listening continuously, right? There is so much that we are listening, there's so much that we are doing, but what exactly is federalism? What exactly is federalism is something that we need to worry about, and we want to understand what it is, right? So federalism is something where sharing of power is happening between center and the state government, students. There is sharing of power which is happening between center and state. Also in federalism we see that the power is shared between not just center and state but also with the local government in case of India. But you must be having so many questions. You must be having so many questions that in federalism, do center and state get equal power? Okay, or they have different powers. How is the division actually happening? Are both center and state equally powerful, or is it just the center which is running the government? I think if you have the queries related to this, in this lecture, bacha, I am going to resolve all your queries. You are going to find answers to all your queries. So stay tuned with me and let's understand what kind of federalism actually we are talking about. what kind of government in India that we have, where we establish the features of federalism. Okay, is the center strong or is it the state that is strong? We are going to talk about so much of it, and finally I'm going to tell you that in India, are we a federalism which is favoring the center, or are we giving equal power to center and state? So stay tuned and I will give you answers to all of this. Now, student, first of all, let's understand and define the term federalism. When we are saying what is federalism, right? When we want to understand that what is federalism, then we simply say that federalism is a system of government in which there is division of power. In which there is division of power between a central authority and the constituent units. So that means if I talk about India, we are simply saying there is a center and there is a state, right? And there is division of power that is existing between the center and the state. That is very simple. But the question comes, is the power division equal? Are there equal powers between center and state? And now local government also in India we have. So our center is having equal power, state having, and local having equal power? Let's find out. The answer is yes or no. We have to find out in this lecture. So I hope you have got the definition that it is simple division of power or sharing of power between center and state is known as federalism. I hope this point is very, very clear to you. Great. Now, let's move to the difference. Now, there is always a confusion, bacha, that what is a federal form of a government and what is a unitary form of a government. I have just told you that in federalism, there is division of power. There is the power is not centralized in one central government. There is division which is taking place between the center and the state. Correct? Now, in unitary, what is happening? This is something that we need to find out. In unitary government, what is happening? We need to find out, students. Now, in unitary government, there is no hierarchy or there is no division of power. That is for sure. How in federal you have the division of power between the center and state, so there is a hierarchy. There is a center in the top, on the top, then there is a state, and then there is a local government. But you are not finding this in unitary setup, students. You are not finding this because in unitary setup you are seeing that there is no hierarchy. All the powers are accumulated by the central or the national government. I hope this is clear to you. So this is the first difference that we have that we see between federal system as well as unitary system. Now the second difference in the federal system, as you see, students, is in the federal system what we are seeing, bacha, that the powers are limited, the powers are divided, but the division of power also is happening in the way in which we cannot assure that there is equal division of power. Okay, we cannot assure that there is equal division of power. In federalism, sometimes the state has more power and sometimes the center has more power. But in unitary, that is not the case. All the power is accumulated in the hands of the lawmaking, which is the national government or the central government. Okay, so there is complete centralization of power that is happening in the unitary government. Now, I will give you examples also related to this, bacha, so that you get an idea that what is the government that here we are talking about. Okay, now let's talk about the third major difference that we are seeing. The third major difference is that in a federal government there is a balance of power. Of course, like central might have some power, as I said, state might have some power. There is always balancing. Nobody will be all powerful. Neither central will become all powerful, neither state or neither local government can become all powerful, right? But in federalism, is that the case? No. In federalism, huge percentage or maximum amount of in unitary, the maximum amount of power, sorry, is going to the national government. They are the ones who are the decision maker. They are the one who are taking the charge of everything, and they are the one who is making changes, making laws, and taking care of all the things that come under. You can call it centralization of power. So basically, in unitary, there is no balance of power. देर इज नो हायरार्की, देर इज नो बैलेंस ऑफ पावर. सब कुछ एक ही पर्सन और एक ही गवर्नमेंट के पास सीमित हो जाता है. Just the opposite it is in the federal government, where there is balance of power and division of power existing. Now, as I have already told you, the fourth point, power and responsibilities are shared between the national and state government or local government when we talk about federalism, but there is no sharing of power. There is no sharing of power at all in the unitary feature of government. Now you will say, ma'am, you have given so many examples and differences between federal and unitary government. We want to understand that what are the countries which are following the system of federalism and what are the countries which are following the system of unitary government. Well, I'll give you example. Like in federal, you can of course give the example, you have USA, okay, you have Nigeria. But in unitary you can give the example of Japan and Saudi Arabia, China also to a certain extent. So we are seeing that these are the countries in unitary which are taking the power making process to themselves. They are doing all the creation, they are making laws, they are doing everything that is possible on their own. Simple. Okay, but in federalism that is not the case. There is always division of power. So I will tell you later in this chapter that how powers are divided in federalism, specifically in India, so that you get an idea that, oh, this is the way there is division of power which is happening. You will get an idea about it. But for now I just wanted to clear the difference between the federal and the unitary. I just wanted to clear the difference with you students. I hope the difference is very clear to you. You can easily write the points as it is. Okay, now I want to tell you students what is happening in India. If I talk about Indian system, which is also federalism, okay, so what is happening in India, what kind of division I would say is happening in India, students. So we are seeing in India there are three sets of division that we are looking at. One is the union government, the second is the state government, and the third is the local government. Okay, union government or the central government as we call is it at the top. It is, its jurisdiction is the whole country. The union government is responsible for the whole country. Jurisdiction matlab the geographical area where a government or a body has its jurisdiction, has its power to make a law on it. Okay, geographically, like whole country geographically comes under the jurisdiction of union government. But then comes, what about the state government below the union government, student? As you can see in the diagrammatic picture, we have the state government. Now we have many states, we have many union territories, each of them have their heads. So the state government is responsible for taking care, or it takes care of the jurisdiction in the state, correct? And below the state government, students, the third hierarchy that we have the local government. We have the local government which comes under the state, and the local government is a very very new feature that we see has come in Indian constitution after 1992-93. We are seeing the development of local government. In the villages the local government is known as panchayati raj, and in the urban areas this local government, students, is known as municipality. I hope this much is clear to you, that this is how in India we are seeing there is a division or there is a hierarchy. That's why we say India is a federal state. Now, what kind of federal state? We'll find out. But yes, it's a federalism. We believe in federalism here because there is a hierarchy that we have found, as you can see, between union, state, as well as local government. Okay, I hope this much is clear. Now, let's move to the next slide. Now, students, the question arises, and a lot of people ask this question specifically after independence, that why did we need, or what is an importance of federalism in any federal country, not just in India? Why do you need this federalism? What is the requirement of this federalism? Well, it's very simple. Two major points. A country is very big. Like if we take example of India only, we have so much of population. So a single government in the center will not be able to control, manage, or run such a whole country, first of all. So you need to have state governments or government established in various states, so that they are responsible for the individual state. Now, otherwise, bacha, it's not possible for one particular government in the center to rule such a huge state. Is not possible at all. Correct, eh? Right? But if you have state governments, then each individual state government is taking care of their state. So this is one of the reasons to manage the people, to manage the country, bacha. You have what you call the idea of federalism. But two other factors which actually shape this idea of federalism is it gives unity to the country. Of course, because see students, every state has its own demand. Okay, they are coming together and they are a part of the country called India. So they are united together. They are not separated. They are united together in making this country called India. Right? So that's how it is important, students. Now the second important reason is this federalism gives definition to accommodation of regional diversity. What does it mean? You know, students, there are various states. Each state has a different language, different culture, different kind of people, different kind of problems. Who is going to represent those problems? There has to be a representative now of that state who is representing that problem in the center or in the parliament. Who is doing that? The state government is responsible for representing the problems and taking those problems further to the central government if required. So that's why you need a state government, because it is accommodating the regional diversity. It is resolving the conflicts of regions. It is resolving or providing solutions to the problems of the people, students. So that's why I say that regional diversity is something which is accommodated in a federalism. I hope this thing is very clear to you, that why do we have actually federalism. I have told you it promotes unity, it accommodates all regional problems. Okay, state government is the one who is taking care of things. For everything, we are such a big country, we cannot run to the central government. Now we don't have roads, we are running there. We don't have electricity, we are running. No, you need a state or a local government who is giving you immediate representation, and that can resolve your conflict. So if you want a local and state government, it simply means you want a federalism, because federalism is sharing of power between center, state and local. I hope, bacha, you are getting this. Now, here in this slide, we have well understood what is the importance of federalism. In the previous slide, I have made you understand what is federalism and how is federalism in India. How is the hierarchy of federalism in India? And now we have also spoken about the importance of federalism in general. Now, students, what does federalism do? Federalism, the government, be it at the center, be it at the state, or be it at the local level, specifically in India, if I take example, be it at the panchayati level or municipality level, which is at the urban areas. What all these governments are doing, that is something which is shaping the idea of federalism. So these are the government, students, be it a center government, state or local government, as I mentioned, they are actually involved in the decision making process. They are deciding, for the people, because they are representative of the people. So they are deciding for the people, and this is one thing very important, because they are deciding keeping in mind the self interest of the people. Suppose if there is, if suppose, what would have happened if we would have no federalism? Imagine if India would have no federalism, all the power would have been in the central government. Were we happy? Could we have been happy then? No, because if powers, accumulated in one government, we as citizens of various states would have no representation. Means our opinions, our diversity would have not mattered. That means our dignity would have not mattered. That would have gone wrong, right? That's why Indian constitution, when was made, it was decided that we will follow the features of federalism, where there will be sharing of power between center and state, bacha. Now you can ask that how much power is given to center and state is a different topic which we will talk. But in general, there is a division which is clearly defined in the constitution. Its constitution is defining the division. How much power should central government have? How much should state have? How much should local have? All the constitution of India is having it well defined. So the first power that we see, which comes through federalism, bacha, is the power of decision making. I hope this is clear. Now, the second thing comes is the power to express, because we are staying or living in a federalism. We know if we have some problem, I just gave you an example, we can express it. We can talk about it with the local immediate government. The local government can take it to the state government, and state can take it to the center, so on and so forth. We are having a representation. That is why federalism is required. Second, federalism creates a jurisdiction. Now, I have told you what is jurisdiction already. Jurisdiction means an area over which a body or a government has a legal authority. Like state government will have a legal authority over on its state, right? So every state has its own jurisdiction, just like the center has its own jurisdiction. Correct? So here the government make law on the jurisdiction. The central government can make law for the whole country. The state will make law for its individual state. Will take care of the individual state, simply because it has the jurisdiction over the state and not the center, the state government. And lastly, it provides a voice for all. I have told you this many a times, in federalism, students, this is the only way, bacha, where so many voices or so much can be heard. So many people can raise their voice. There is a government who is representing and who can hear you. So that can happen only in federalism, and that's why I say that federalism is very, very important. If federalism would have not been there, I have told you, all the powers would have been got accumulated in the center. And if lot of power come into one government, It leads to corruption, it leads to disregarding the public opinion. It does not remain democracy, right? That's why we needed sharing of power, which was provided in the constitution. Our constitution makers were very smart. They already thought that what kind of federalism and how much power should be given to center and state. And they were very sure that there should be division of power, there should be federalism in India. Okay, great. I think you got this aspect. Now, what are some crucial aspects, or what are the crucial areas of federalism? Okay, what are the crucial areas of federalism? See, in federalism, I've already told you there are different levels of government. In India case, I have told you there was a center government, there was a state government, and now we have local government, right? So there are different levels of hierarchy of government that can happen only in federalism. That is the first feature or first aspect. Second is all these center, state, and local, they should trust each other. Very important. The center should trust the state should trust the center. This I think is very, very important, because only on the basis of trust and power that a functioning of federalism can happen in any country. Okay, so this is really, really, really important. They should know how much power is given to them, and they are aware about how much power is given to them simply through the constitution. Our constitution very clearly mentioned what is the amount of power dedicated to center, to state, and now to the local government, which is the panchayati and the municipality in India, right? Two things without which federalism cannot work, if that's the question, then I would say it's mutual trust and agreement to live together. Center, state, and local should know how to live together with each other. They should trust and mutually trust each other. That is very, very significant and important. Then only running of the country can happen. Okay, now if I talk generally in terms of India, I have given a pyramidical example where on top of the hierarchy we see there's a central government, then there's a state government, and there are local government. All these three governments, bacha, as you are seeing, have their own jurisdiction. Central government will make laws for the center, state for the state, and local self government for the panchayati as well as for the municipality. Okay, so not they have their powers defined in terms of what law they have to make, legislation, what should be the taxation policy, how administration should be carried on. All of this is clearly defined in the constitution. They have their agreement and they work accordingly, so that there is no fight and there is trust and there is a peace between the functioning of center, state, and local government. So I hope you understand that how actually a country is functioning, how a country like India, for example, is functioning, because we are having center, state, and local government. Great. Now, all this I have told you, the powers and all of this, there cannot be a conflict between center and state. Even if there is, it can be easily resolved because it is mentioned in the constitution. If there is a fight, it can be resolved through Supreme Court. Okay, if there is a fight between states and states, or between center and state, it can easily be resolved by going to the Supreme Court, and it has been guaranteed by the constitution. So there cannot be much of a fight because things are already mentioned in the constitution. The constitution makers have already defined it very well for you, right? If there are changes which have to be made, one government or just the central government cannot make the changes in the constitution. Okay, it requires at some instances the yes of the state government also. It requires the consent of center and state, both the government, if they have to make certain crucial changes in the in the country or related to the constitution. Both of them needs to be there in term when there is a federalism. Okay, of course at some instances center has more powers, but in general center, if wants to make any changes in the provision of the constitution, it alone cannot make. The central government cannot decide. It needs to have the consent of the state as well. Now, what are the features or aspects in detail of federalism? If I talk, then the courts in India, I have already told you, the Supreme Court has the power to interpret the constitution. It is called the guarantor of the constitution, and it can interpret the lawmaking. It can interpret the lawmaking of central, state, and local government. Then the constitution has defined very well that what are the various sources of revenue. For a state to run, or for a center to run, you need revenue, you need the policy of taxation. So it has been very well defined in our constitution. It has been clearly specified that from where the center will be getting its revenue, how will it be taxation, and how will the state will be getting its revenue, what will be its policy of taxation. Both of them, and now the local government in India, have clearly defined goals. So no fight. There is a court, there is a constitution, and there is clearly defined goals. And the fourth thing, let me just revise with you, there is mutual trust and agreement when it comes to India. Okay, so I hope I'm very clear when we talk about the basic general features of federalism, that how we are trying to abide by federalism and not by unitary method of government, how in federalism there is sharing of power, and how in India things are happening till now. Now, if I take the example, these are the just two countries, I just wanted to include them. If I take the example of Sri Lanka and Belgium also, you see they are the democratic countries, and here how there is division of, there are various communities, okay? There are various communities. Like in Belgium, if I tell you, there are Dutch speaking community, there are French speaking community. Now, the Dutch speaking community, as you see in this map of Belgium, they are the ones which are in majority, and the French are in minority. But the government there has established and moved to a from a unitary constitution to a federal constitution, because here equal rights are given to the Dutch and the French. And why this was done primarily, bacha, is to avoid the conflict in the country so that everybody can live peacefully. So the constitution of Belgium has been changed 4 times. Initially it was a unitary constitution where all the power were under the majority or under the central government, but now there are federalism, and equal powers are given to the provinces or to the minorities like French also. As I've told you already, in this, Belgium has reduced the power of central government. It has given regional governments and minorities like French equal opportunities. Okay, and this is primarily done because central government, when the power is accumulated to the central government, they would try to take advantage of it. They would try to manipulate it, and that would create lot of conflicts in the country. They would create lot of conflicts in the country, and that's why, students, now the constitution change that took place in 1993, regional governments here were given constitutional powers, and they have their own powers. The regional state governments in Belgium are having their own power, and they are no more dependent on the central government, which they were dependent before 1993. Because in 1993 only the change happened now in Belgium constitution. Before that it was a unitary constitution, all powers were in the center. But after 1993, what happened? That the powers were given to the state government or the regional government as well. Bacha. Okay, so you should remember that in 1993, the Belgium government shifted from a unitary to a federal government. What happened in Sri Lanka? Now, this map I'll show you again. This is a map of Sri Lanka. Here, their majority are the Sinhalese. The minority we see are the Tamils. Now, most of the power is with the central government here, and because of this the majority, who is Sinhalese in Sri Lanka, are getting all the advantage. The minority, the Tamil or the states, are not getting any kind of preferences, which is creating lot of conflicts. That's why I'm saying that for a country to run peacefully, it is required that there is division of power. If central government takes all power, just like in Sri Lanka, then the minorities of the state will not have any power. They will not have any representation. Then they will create rebellion. You see, in Sri Lanka, there are so many rebellions, so many parties, so many groups against the central government, primarily because their ideals, their interests are not getting fulfilled. There is lacking of federalism, there is no sharing of power between center and state, and that's why there are so many conflicts. In India, we have tried dividing powers, tried to accommodate the interests between center and the state. Bacha. Okay, I have given you the example of Belgium and Sri Lanka also to make you understand that how federalism is a powerful thing, how it helps actually in running smoothly of a country. Now, this is really, really interesting, because here what we are seeing is, generally, if I've been talking about federalism, right? But what kind of federalisms are existing in altogether? What are the two common type of federations of federalism which are existing? Now, one which we see is the coming together federation, and the other is holding together federation. Coming together federation means small independent states, small autonomous independent states are coming together. They are joining together on their own. They are leaving some part of their sovereignty, or they have their autonomous freedom. They are just joining together on the basis of consent to form a bigger unit. Like small states join together to form a bigger unit. You can use the example of USA, where small states who are autonomous states, they have their own power, but all of such states in USA who are autonomous, have their own power, who are free and sovereign, have come together to form USA. Right, bacha? Now, this is the federation where small states are coming together to join the bigger union. In this, what happens that each of these small units are sharing some part of their freedom to give another other state also little freedom, because it is on the basis of consent na, like ABCD wants to come together to become Z, just example, right? So we are seeing that so many different states in USA have come together to form a bigger unit. All these small states which have come together have their own identity. It's not that they're losing identity. As I said, they're autonomous, but they are sovereign. Sovereign means they are free and they have their own identity. They have their own identity and they maintain their identity, but they are under the umbrella of a bigger name, which is altogether known as USA. You have a bigger umbrella and small states come together in that bigger umbrella, which is USA. So that is called, bacha, coming together federation, coming together federalism. Now, what happens to power? You will ask me, what kind of power do we have in such federations? Well, see the example of USA or Australia or Switzerland. We see that all these small states which have come together have equal powers. Very important to know. They have equal power and are equally strong, like the central government or the main government, the federal government. They're equally strong. Okay, it's not like the central government will, the center who is at the central government who is at the center will have more power and these small states will not have power. No, these states will have equal power, exactly equal power like the federal or the central government who is sitting at the center and ruling the whole country. I hope this is clear. Great, great, great. Now, when we talk about holding together federation, what kind of federalism is holding together? This is the opposite to the coming together federation, obviously. In this, India is one of the example. Okay, now what is happening in this kind of federation, bacha? In this kind of federation, large power like India, imagine India as a country, it decides to divide the power between various states. Correct? India is already a country. Now it is asking that I am going to give you power. The country or the center is dividing power amongst various constituents units of various states. So I would say it's just the opposite to coming together, because in coming together small states were coming together. In holding, the main state or the main head center is there. Center is dividing the power. Tum itna lo, tum itna lo, tum itna lo. That's why we do not have equal division of power between the center and state, and I'll tell you how soon in the coming slides. Okay, so we are a holding together federation, क्योंकि यहाँ पे जब इंडिया इंडिपेंडेंट हुई थी तब बी आर अम्बेडकर, द पर्सन हु इज रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर मेकिंग ऑफ दिस कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, he actually said that India is a union of states. So we are a kind of a federation where there is always a center is on priority and center is giving the, you can say, power distribution to the various states. So there's not equal distribution of power between center and state. At some instances, let me tell you, center has little more power as compared to states, but that's not the case in USA or Australia or Switzerland, because they follow coming together federation, and India we follow holding together. So you can write this as a very important aspect. Okay, now as I've already told you, in holding together federation, the central government is generally more powerful, and I'll tell you in terms of India also, that when certain instances happen in India, I'll tell you that how central government becomes all powerful and the state is not left with that much of power. But those are just special circumstances. Under normal circumstances, state also has power. Okay, now this kind of federation which is holding together federation, bacha, it is find, where do we find it? We find it in India, we find it in Spain, we find it in Belgium. All these are examples of holding together federation. Okay, I have already told you example of coming together federation, where you have USA, Switzerland, Australia, and so on and so forth. Chalo aage badhe. We are clear with this. Now I want to answer this question which everybody asks. Okay, is India a federal country? Then we'll say yes, it's a federal country. But then we say, what kind of federalism is India? That is very important. What kind of federalism is India? We say yes, India is a federal country, and I've already told you what is federalism: the division of power between center, state, and local government. So there is division of power, but how much power is the question? How much power is given to the center or to the state? So we say yes, India is a federal country where there each tier, this is called each tier, right? Center is one tier, state is one tier, local is one tier. Each of them have individual power. Center might have certain power, I'll tell you what power. State will have local. This is defined by the constitution, so no problem on that front. Now what happens, bacha? The Constitution of India has very clearly said that the power between center, state, and local government will be divided. Specifically, the constitution talk about the center and the state. Local came much later. So power between center and state has to be divided, bacha. So what is happening? It is defined in the constitution that the division will take place in the form of a list. What does it list means? If you have to do some tasks, I'm just giving you example, I will give you a list, like these are the 10 duties you have, fulfill that. If your sibling has to do another task, I will give him 20 duties that do, this is your task. Exactly like this, bacha. Exactly like this, the constitution of India has divided the tasks between divided the power or tasks or functions between center and the state. Now, the powers or the tasks or the subjects given to the center on which the center can make law come under the union list. Union means center. So, all the tasks or subjects or topics on which the central government can make the law, can do the decision making, bacha, comes under the union list. Similarly, all the tasks on which the state government can make the law, on which the state government can make the law, bacha, comes under the state list. Now you will ask, what is concurrent list? This is a very tricky list, huh? What is concurrent list? Well, it's very simple. In concurrent list, both the center as well as the state government can make the law. Both the center and the state government can make the law. But what happens, I'll tell you, in the concurrent list, if there is a conflict between the center and the state, the will of the central government prevail. Imagine now, as I was telling you, we are a holding together federation, remember, and I told you that sometimes the power is given more to the center. Here is one example, concurrent list. Okay, second example I will give, but I hope first example is clear, that in concurrent list both the center and the state can make laws, but in case there is a ladai or a conflict between center and state, the will of the central will prevail. Now the next thing, bacha, what is happening now? You will say, ma'am, what are the different lists, different options that are given to central, state, and in the concurrent list? Central government can make laws on, there are 100 subjects on which central government can make law. I have just given example of few because obviously I won't write 100. So central government can make laws on all the subjects, bacha, which are of national importance. Imagine, only central government are given those subjects, not the state government. Now you see the importance of central government, and little more power to the central government. Second point, hence proven that center is little more powerful. Okay, in India, central government, there are 100 subjects, and here all the subjects of national importance are there, right? Subjects like defense, banking, currency, foreign affairs, communication. Now these are the subjects which define the destiny of the country. They are very very important, like defense, atomic power. All these subjects are defining the future of the country. That's why they go under the central government. State government has certain subjects like police, trade, agriculture, irrigation, so on and so forth. They are having normal subjects on which only state government can make laws. But there are certain subjects, bacha, on which both center and state government can make law, and these are the subjects. Education is one sub-subject because it is important for the center as well as for the state. So both are making law. Then forest is another subject on which both can make law. Trade, marriage, adoption, succession. These are few examples on which both the center and the state, bacha, can make law. So I hope this is very clear to you that this is how in India there is division of power happening between center and state. अभी तक दो एग्जाम्पल्स ऑलरेडी हो चुके हैं जहां हमने बताया कि सेंटर की पावर थोड़ी सी ज्यादा है. एक तो यूनियन लिस्ट में इंपॉर्टेंट सब्जेक्ट्स उन्हें दिए गए हैं, है ना? As I've mentioned here, subjects of national importance are given to the union. That means center is little powerful. 100 subjects are given and the state is getting only 61 subjects. That means again union is powerful. Correct? So union government, that's where somewhere we see has given a little more power as compared to the state government. Okay, and whenever there is a fight in the concurrent list between the central and the union, as I told you, the will of union prevail. So 3 पॉइंट से मैंने ऑलरेडी बता दिया है कि किस तरीके से सेंटर की पावर थोड़ी सी ज्यादा है, बट दैट स्टिल मीन्स दैट इंडिया इज फॉलोइंग अ फेडरल फीचर, बट वी आर अ होल्डिंग टुगेदर फेडरेशन वेयर सेंटर इज डिवाइडिंग पावर्स बिटवीन वेरियस यूनिट्स. Fair enough, right? Fair enough. I hope this is clear. Okay, now what is happening, students, here? The last point that I want to clear this with you. In the in the federal government, what is happening? In the federal government, what is happening? That if we say that India is a federal country, the question arises that what kind of federal country we are? What kind of federal country we are? Are we a country which is giving all powers to the center? Or are we a country which is having a state is also having some interference? Well, we are a kind of a country which I have given you three examples. Sometimes the union has more power, but there are times where state is also given powers. For example, in India, if I tell you, we have the feature of coalition government, where regional parties get together to form a government, be in the state or be in the center. Second, various states have been formed on the basis of language. So states are given importance. That's why on the basis of language only, like Andhra Pradesh state is formed, right? Then in India, we also have the feature of bicameralism. Now, what is bicameralism? There are two houses. One is Lok Sabha and one is Rajya Sabha. This also shows that India is a federal country. Why? Because Rajya Sabha is considered as a representative of the state. Whoever leaders go there, they are the represent. Rajya Sabha is representing the state. It's a state representative, right? So state is powerful in India, but in terms of, but generally speaking, in terms of emergency. Okay, now what is an emergency? Emergency is a situation in the country. If I vaguely explain, if there is a if there's a war from outside, if there is a financial crisis, or if a particular state is unable to function properly, then in all these situations emergency can be called, students. Now, if that is the case, who is taking the power? We are seeing it is the union government which becomes all powerful. As I have mentioned here, the union, the center gets more power. The center or the union government or the parliament takes the working of the state legislature. It takes the state completely under its control and start lawmaking. But that happens only during the time of emergency. Bacha yaad rakhna. In normal circumstances, it doesn't happen. So, of course, if there's an emergency, then the powers of, what you say, the powers of the center becomes little more important as compared to the state. However, the second instance is if the state itself, if any state for that matter decides by its own virtue that it wants center to make law for itself, then the center can do it, because the state, if is requesting and asking, then the center can do it very well, even in the normal circumstances, even if there is no emergency. But the state is asking, right? So the center can interfere. Third, the Supreme Court can anytime ask or increase the power of the central government. If the need arises, the powers of the central government can be increased. Okay, so in emergency particularly, what happens? The parliament gets all the control. The parliament gets all the control. The state government stop functioning, and all the control comes under the central government. So when I give you the example where center is having more power, I say yes during concurrent list. I say yes during emergency. I say generally when this constitution has divided the power between union, state and concurrent, union has been given more power. That means it has given more subjects, and all subjects are of national importance. तो कहीं ना कहीं सेंट्रल को थोड़ा ज्यादा पावर मिला है, ठीक है? बट इसका ये मतलब बिल्कुल नहीं है, स्टूडेंट्स, एज आई टोल्ड यू दैट वी आर नॉट अ फेडरल, वी आर वेरी वेल अ फेडरल कंट्री. Some scholars call us that we are a quasi federal country. Now, quasi word in itself says that we are, in our case, center is little more powerful as compared to the state. That's why this word quasi has been used. But having said that, India still is a strong federation. I would not deny that. I have given you very well the example of bicameralism. There are two houses. Generally, दो houses क्यों होंगे? एक house राज्य सभा इसलिए क्योंकि that is a representative of the state. So that is a good example of federalism. Second, whenever a change has to be made in the constitution, and specifically a change related to changing the boundary of the state, many states in India has been formed after independence also, na bacha. Many states in 2000s like Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh. So whenever you want to make a change, the initiation from the state is required. State consent is required. So union alone cannot make the boundary change. State interference is required. State ratification or consent is required. Then only a new state can be formed. So this is second example which says that yes, we have federalism. Third example is, student, in India we are seeing that there are powers which state is also having, because if any change in the constitution is also required other than the boundary, then also state consent is required. The union alone cannot make the change. And then there are state lists which the central cannot interfere till the time I have told you there's an emergency or the Supreme Court asks or the state themselves ask. Otherwise the state can very well functioning in making their own laws. There is no worry about that point, right? So that's how, of course, that's why I tell you that we are a country which is little bit inclined to the union. We are inclined to the central government. Okay, there are many instances which proves, and I have already told you, there are many instances which prove that, which make us a kind of a quasi federal. So some scholars have already written that India is a kind of a country which is quasi federal. We have holding up federation, first thing you should remember, holding together federation, where there is no equal distribution of power. You cannot say the center will have this amount of power and state will also have this amount of power. No, no, that is not possible. That is possible only in coming together federation like America. In India, it is not possible, because in India, we are a holding together federation. That means the center is giving power to different states. And all the states might not have equal power. Center and state will not have equal power. I've already made you understand this. Point one. Point two, all the states might also not have equal power. I have told you some states have given special status in India, right? Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, they are given special status. Initially, Jammu and Kashmir also till last year was given special status, but now not. So why so? Because we wanted that people there to get developed after independence. We wanted to give special privilege within states also. There are certain states who have got more privileges as compared to others. So there cannot be equal division of power for sure in a country like India. Secondly, if you talk about union territory students, what we are seeing in union territories, we are seeing that union territories directly somehow come under the provision or supervision of the central government. The president chooses the governor or the administrator for the union territory, but the making of the law, all those things generally can happen by parliament also. Despite the fact that union territories might have their own state legislature, the parliament can also do the law making. So you imagine, the center is again proving to be powerful, but there is a body, there is a structure set for the states as well, for the states as well, for the union territories as well. So just to brief it for you, and just to do a quick recap with you students, I hope we have understood first of all that what is federalism. This is simple sharing of power. Then we talked about how in India we are having this structure of federalism where there is a hierarchy. There is a center, there is a state, and there is a local government. In local government, you have Panchayati Raj for the village level, you have municipalities, municipal corporation in the urban areas, right? They take care of the local administration, electricity, things, so on and so forth. Now, in India or in any federalism, we are a kind of a federalism, India, which is believing in holding together federalism. Correct? Holding means there is a center and that is giving power to various units. Not all units will have equal power. No, 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 no. However, in America, if we draw a differentiation, we see that all the units have come together to form a federal government, to form a government. That's why all these small states who have come together will have equal power. They have their own identity, right? So that is how we are different with when it comes to America. We say that we are more like Canadian. We have kind of a Canadian federation. That is right. We do not have US kind of federation. We have more of sort of a Canadian federation, bacha, where there is an inclination towards center having the power. Then I told you how in our constitution there cannot be any conflict. There cannot be any conflict between the center and state. Even if there is a conflict, it can directly be taken up by the Supreme Court, right? However, the Constitution of India has clearly defined the powers between center, state, and union. As I have told you, there is a clear division of power that has happened between center, state. Okay, and I have also told you how many subjects are there. All the important subjects are given to the, you can say, to the central government, and this itself shows that we are a little inclined to the central government when it comes to power. Defense, atomic power, banking, all important decision making has been given to the center. Imagine. But that doesn't mean, students, that we are no more a federal. Yes, we are. We have federalism because we have coalition government. And you know what is coalition government? Where more than two government come together to form a government when a single government cannot get the majority. Right? This is happening in India. Many small states or many states have their own regional parties like DMK, ADMK, Akali Dal, so many parties. They come together with the central party like BJP or Congress to form a government. So we are saying regional parties are also getting importance. That means federalism is protected in India. Correct? Second, we have bicameralism. We have Rajya Sabha along with Lok Sabha. And Rajya Sabha is nothing but the representation of the states. Right? And in India many times new states are formed. I have given the example of Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, so on and so forth, to prove you that yes, federalism is there. Any change in the constitution that the center has to make cannot be done without the consent of the state. The state has to be involved in the decision making process, be it expanding the boundaries of the state, be it like making a new state altogether. The state has to be involved. However, having said that, the center gets more powers in terms of concurrent list, because if there is a conflict between center and state, then the power for the final decision goes to the center only. And in emergency time, there are three kind of emergency very briefly. One is when there's an attack from outside. Second, when there is within a state is not working according to the constitution, then the central government takes that state's administration. And third simply is when there is a financial crisis. All these three cases, the parliament or the central government can take up the working of the state government. So that time the central becomes very very powerful. Bacha, you should remember, right? So that's why I say we are a quasi federal country. We are a federalism, but we are a quasi federal, where little important powers or little power is inclined towards the central government, undoubtedly. Okay, so I think students, this is what I wanted to explain to you when we talk about the basics of federalism, just to give you a basic idea, where I have answered all the questions related to what is federalism, what is the importance of federalism, why it is needed in country like India. I have also answered what kind of federalism in India, a very challenging question, where I've given you the definition. Yes, India is a federalism, but we are a quasi federalism, where little more power are given to the center. So we are a holding together federation. I hope this is clear when it comes to basic of federation. And finally, to all the students who are joining in, just a quick recap. You can get associated and join me on Unacademy for more such lectures, amazing lectures, to watch live classes. You just have to go to your Play Store, okay, download an Academy app, take K-12 subscription, go to class 12 K-12 subscription, click get subscription, and simply use my code for additional discount at very minimum prices of 2500. The packages, you can also reduce the package price by simply putting my coupon code. You can write the coupon code AKS11. If you use this coupon code of mine, bacha, you can get additional 10% of the discount. So get your Unacademy app subscription now itself and get associated with me for all these amazing lectures. Thank you.